your 2009 to 2018 Ram 1500's front end is feeling a bit loose, then this upper and lower control arm kit with new ball joints may just be the cure. Featuring OEM-style bushings and ball joints, this kit is an easy refresh to your truck's front suspension for a fraction of the price of what your dealer would charge. Whether we want to admit it or not, this generation of Ram is getting up there in years, and with age and mileage comes suspension wear. It's a fact of life. Bushings like these wear out and the front end of your truck starts feeling not so good. But what we have here is effectively an easy button solution to that problem. In this kit, you get a pair of upper and lower control arms for each side of your truck's front suspension, with brand new OEM style ball joints and bushings already pressed in and ready to go for you. And while it's certainly less expensive to replace just those ball joints and bushings separately, that job is a huge pain to do, and it's going to take you far more time. These arms come with everything already installed and ready to go, just as you see them right here, right out of the box. So all you need to do is unbolt your originals and bolt these right into their place. It's going to tighten up the front end of your truck so it handles and steers just like it did the day it rolled off the assembly line. Much like your OEM control arms, these are put through the ringer when they're made. Featuring steel construction and all new rubber bushings plus OE style ball joints, these are a full refresh. They're made in an ISO 9002 certified facility as well, meaning that they have been tested for impact, fatigue, and wear to ensure that they meet strict quality control standards, and they're going to perform just like your original equipment. Pricing comes in at about $525, and while yes, that is a good chunk of change, this whole kit will cost you less than just one of these control arms would if you got it from your Ram dealer. It's a heck of a good deal for the difference this can make, and while yes, it is more expensive to go this route than just doing the bushings and ball joints separately, it's going to make the installation a whole lot more simple for you and make it something you can tackle at home. And that gives me a great segue to talk about installation. We're gonna give this job a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the whole thing should take you around 3 hours to complete, perhaps a bit more if you've never messed with your truck's suspension previously. It is, however, like we mentioned, a fully bolt-on process, so you don't need to modify anything on the truck itself to get these fitted, and again, they come ready to go right out of the box. So it makes this about as easy as it can get. These are a bit hefty though. I recommend having a friend or at least an extra floor jack handy to help you get this stuff into place. But we're gonna walk you through the entire installation process step by step right now, and for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you need a pass-through wrench with an 18mm socket, 1/4" ratchet, 3/8 and 1/2" impact, a 36, 24, 21, and 8mm socket, a 15/16, 21, 18, 12, 9, an 8mm wrench, a marker, caliper hanging tool, grease gun, a hammer, mallet, pry bar, and clip removal tool. So we're gonna need to take our whole knuckle off. So we're gonna start by taking our caliper and then rotor off. So we're gonna go in the back, get our impact and 21mm socket, and take our 2 caliper bolts out. Out, just rock it off of your rotor. Grab a caliper hanging tool. You just hang that up on the side over here. Pop that line off, and we can also just pop our rotor off now. Next, we're going to disconnect our ABS sensor. So you could just take it out of the wheel hub here, but a lot of times it doesn't like to come out. Easy way to do it, just get your connector that is behind here, release the red locking tab, disconnect that. Now it should be held on with a push clip right here, so grab a clip removal tool and pop that off. So you can see ours is damaged, but no big deal. You just let that dangle. Then we're gonna take our wheel axle nut off next. Grab your 1/2" impact and a 36mm socket and take this nut off. Next, come over to your tie rod. We're gonna get our nut off, so grab your impact and 21mm socket. Now that is already loose, as you can see. If you need to, grab a hammer right there on the knuckle, and that will release that. I'm gonna put our tie rod back in just to hold this in place from moving around. Grab our 21mm wrench, or ratcheting wrench in our case, and take this nut off for the upper ball joint. And we're gonna get that pretty loose. Do the same thing, grab a hammer, just hit right here. I'll loosen that up. We can take our nut off the rest of the way. Go to get that out of our knuckle. Last thing we need to take off here for the knuckle is our bottom ball joint. So at the bottom here, we're gonna grab our impact and 24mm socket and take this nut off. Just gonna do the same thing we did the upper. We're gonna loosen it. We're gonna tap this with a hammer just to break that free. Now we're gonna take the nut off completely. Now we're gonna take our nut off the rest of the way, and we should be able to slide our knuckle off of our axle. Now that our knuckle is out of the way, we can get our control arms off. As you can see, I have our axle supported with another hook, and just have our tie rod just resting on our sway bar for right now. We're gonna focus on our upper control arm first. We have 2 bolts on either side, so we're gonna grab an 18mm ratcheting wrench and get those off. So we'll loosen up our bolts here. Once you get this pretty loose, you could take it off by hand. Just a nut on the inside here, just because there's not a lot of room up front here. Get that bolt out of the way. Do the same thing for the back one. We can just grab our control arm and pull it out of the way. So before we get to removing our lower control arm, we just want to mark our adjustment bolts here. Just grab a Sharpie and you'll see the arrow on the adjuster here. Just mark it on the frame where it's at on the front and back side of both the front and rear adjuster. Once you have that marked, so you can put them back where they are, you can get loosening our sway bar link, strut, and adjuster bolts here. So starting to disassemble our lower control arm, we're going to start with our sway bar link here. I'm going to grab an 18mm pass-through wrench and a 1/4" ratchet with an 8mm socket to hold the stud to keep it from spinning. For our lower strut bolt, we're going to grab our 15/16 wrench to hold the nut and our impact and 21mm socket on the head. Now we have our eccentric bolts for our lower control arm. So we're gonna grab our impact and 24mm socket on our nut here and our 15/16 wrench to hold the head. Get our nut off, take our adjuster off, and we'll loosen up the other side and we'll take both bolts out at the same time. Over here, take our wrench off. Should be able to get our lower control arm loose. So our lower control arm is just a little bit stuck here, so I'm gonna take our bolts out, see if we can get it pivoted off of our sway bar link here. Grab a hammer if you need to, just tap it out. And you just remove your whole lower control arm. Now we're gonna get our new lower control arm in place. You can see our calipers hanging down, just blocking your view of this. But once we get this up installed, it'll be out of the way. We're just gonna try to line it up so we can get our eccentric bolts in place. Rubber mallet, if you need to, just tap it up. So we can get them in so it doesn't fall on us. Swing this up and get our sway bar link in place at the same time. So we're gonna get everything loosely installed and then tighten everything down. So we'll get our lower strut bolt through. And as you can see, I have our nut just threaded onto our sway bar link. So we'll go back, we'll tighten our strut, impact 21mm socket, and our 15/16 wrench. So we can grab our pass-through wrench with our 18mm socket and a 1/4" ratchet with our 8mm socket and tighten our sway bar link down. So while we're here, we're gonna put our grease fitting in for our lower ball joint. Now our lower ball joint is the only one that has one. Just gonna thread that in. Just when we get this all back together, it's gonna be sitting right against our axle. So it's gonna be a little difficult to get this in and grease it. We're actually just gonna pre-grease it too. So grab a 9mm wrench, tighten that down. Now you definitely can get a grease fitting on that, but we're just gonna pre-grease it here. Rag, just clean off that extra. Now we can go back and tighten our eccentric bolts. So we're gonna get our adjusters on our bolt here, and then our nut on both of them, and then we'll tighten them down. So we'll grab our impact 24mm socket and our 15/16 wrench, and we'll get this snugged up just a little bit, then we'll get it adjusted into place. Same thing for the back one here. Now we can get our new upper control arm in place. Just make sure you have the right one. The ball joint will be angled towards the back of the vehicle. Set that in and get our factory bolts back through. Grab our locking nuts, thread them on. Same thing over here. And we're gonna grab our 18mm ratchet wrench and tighten those down. And then same thing for the back one. Next, we can get our knuckle back in place. Now we're gonna get it back in by doing the same thing we took off. It's gonna go on the ball joint and the axle about the same time. Just gotta be patient and careful, get the right angle. Get this up in place, and we'll thread our supplied nut onto our lower ball joint just to help hold that in place. You can also slide our axle nut on too. Now we can get our upper control arm into place. Push that down and thread our supplied nut on. Just gonna get that started for now. Do the same thing for our tie rod, just get that in our knuckle, just thread our nut on. And then we'll start tightening everything, starting at our bottom ball joint, working up. So we're starting at our lower ball joint here. I'm just gonna try tightening with our impact. We may need to use 2 wrenches. We'll grab our 24mm socket, tighten it down. All right, so that's tightened down nicely. We can keep moving our way up. Keep moving our way up, grab our impacted 21mm socket, tighten out our tie rod. From over here, we'll grab our 1/2" impact and 36mm socket, tighten down our axle nut. Grab your 21mm ratcheting wrench. We're gonna tighten down our upper ball joint nut. Also grab a pry bar if you need to. Put some tension on it to keep it from spinning. Grab your ABS wire. We're gonna re-secure that to our upper control arm. Remember, our clip is broken. Then we're just gonna grab our connectors, connect them together, secure the red locking tab, and just tuck that back up there. Then we can get our brakes reinstalled. We're gonna get our rotor back over our hub, just line it up with the lugs. We're gonna get a lug nut just to help hold it against the hub here, so we can get our caliper back on. Get this off of our hanger. And over our rotor in place. Grab our 2 21mm bolts. Line them up and get them threaded in. Grab your impact 21mm socket and tighten those 2 down. Just have our brake line and ABS line just clip together here. And once you have this side all put back together, we can go ahead and repeat all those same steps on the other side of the truck. And that wraps up our install of our front, upper, and lower control arms with ball joints for our 2009 to 2018 Ram 1500. And remember, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.